Greetings, people of the galaxy. I am Zach, and today I'm here to kind of bring this whole Kathleen Kennedy situation into one video. We're going to go over the positives of her reign and the negatives of her reign, and we're just going to basically explore whether or not she does deserve to keep her job for many years to come, as Bob Chapek said in an investor's call yesterday. So if you have not heard, yes, the Disney CEO Bob Chapek confirmed that Kathleen Kennedy would be keeping her job as Lucasfilm president for many years to come. He specifically said, "We've been absolutely thrilled that we have the kind of talent like Kathleen Kennedy to direct Lucasfilm. We look forward to having Kathleen Kennedy running the Lucasfilm organization for years to come." So it certainly doesn't sound like she's going anywhere, even though her contract is up later this year. It seems like she's going to get a renewal. And I made my opinion known in a previous video that I did believe that they should not renew her contract, but I want to kind of get more specific in this video and look at the bigger picture and the whole picture of everything that she's done, starting with The Force Awakens all the way up until, I guess, the next Star Wars projects that are to come. And then I'm going to give my perspective on what we should expect and where we should go from here, seeing that she's not going to be fired or let go. So without further ado, let's jump in. I've got notes because, you know, I'm very prepared. So I'm going to be reading off of those, but let's do this. So we'll start with the bad because there's a lot of it. Let's be fair. The Force Awakens made $2 billion globally, which is fantastic. It set records at the time. It was promising, no doubt, but then when you look at The Last Jedi numbers, they dipped by 700 million to 1.3 billion, which is still good, but when you're following a film that made 2 billion, you generally want to be going up, not down. And then it only gets even worse with The Rise of Skywalker, which made 1.1 billion globally. So from the first entry to the last entry of the trilogy, it made like 900 million less. So that's not what you want. That is a decline in revenue per each installment, and that is indicative of the quality of the films. And if you want to compare that to something like Avengers, we see that the first Avengers movie made 1.5 billion, which set records at the time, and then followed up by a slight dip with Age of Ultron with 1.4 billion, but still basically on par. And then it skyrockets up with Infinity War to 2 billion, and then even higher to Endgame, which broke, I think, all the records at 2.8 billion. So it's just interesting that Disney owns both, but Marvel is killing it at the box office while Star Wars took a steep dive. And it's not a good look, especially since those happened basically at the same time. And then we're gonna talk about how Solo just absolutely flopped. Didn't even make 400 million. It made 393 million at the box office, which is almost $1 billion less than what The Last Jedi made just a year before. So that really showed what fans thought about the Star Wars that Kathleen Kennedy and her creative team were producing at the time. And then that's not even to say that she's had numerous issues with directors. She's fired 2, but she's had problems with 3. I think Gareth Edwards almost got fired, but managed to hang on to his job. But she fired the original Solo directors. She fired Colin Trevorrow, who was supposed to direct The Rise of Skywalker initially. And then they fired Benioff and Weiss, or at least mutually parted ways, which I'm not going to falter for that because I didn't want them to touch Star Wars after Game of Thrones Season 8. So that's basically the revenue side, and it hasn't been as successful as it could have been. Like, you can still say that Star Wars made a lot of money, but for it being Star Wars, I don't think it made nearly as much money as it should have. It definitely has underperformed up to this point. And merchandise sales have also been in decline since 2016. I mean, you go to Target, you go to Walmart, you go to GameStop, whatever. There's not a ton of Star Wars merchandise, especially at the stores where there should be, like Target. I remember when I was a kid, you could go to Target and there'd be a whole aisle of Star Wars stuff. It was incredible. And now the shelves are empty. There's nothing there, and it's just not a good look. I remember they were trying to push a bunch of merchandise out back when Force Awakens was coming out. They had like this day where they unveiled all the merchandise, and it was cool. It felt like the old days, and it's been in steady decline since then. And Galaxy's Edge also isn't performing nearly as well as they expected. They based it heavily off of the sequels, or they made it like its own planet in canon, which is interesting, but I don't think it's what a lot of people wanted, me included. Personally, I wanted to be able to go to the cantina on Tatooine and like just a real life recreation of that. That would have been awesome. But they went a different direction, and I don't think a lot of people resonated with that direction. And also, like, more recently, a portion of the fan base is very unhappy about the Gina Carano situation. And honestly, whether you wanted her to be fired or not, I think we can all admit that this whole situation has been a loss for everybody. I don't think anybody's happy. It's kind of just evolved the fandom into fighting again, and that's not really what we all want. And then lastly, another big negative, which I don't know how involved Kathleen Kennedy was in this decision, but giving EA the exclusive license to Star Wars games for at least the first like 6 years was a mistake. They only put out a few games in that 6 years, and not a lot of them are great. I think Fallen Order is the only one that was like initially good, and Battlefront 2 got good, but yeah, and then there's Rogue Squadron, I think it's called, or Star Wars Squadrons. I think that was received well, but they should have been making more games. They shouldn't have given a company an exclusive license, because I think Star Wars games, they were at their best when all these companies were able to try it. When you had like Pandemic making the old Battlefronts, and you had The Force Unleashed, and you had Republic Commando. You had all these different companies making Star Wars games, and then you had LucasArts. That was like peak Star Wars game time. And hopefully we can get back to that now, which leads me into the positives. The last 2 years of Star Wars have been better. Objectively, they have been. You know, you've had the success of The Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2, and then they brought back the Clone Wars for a final season, which was incredible. And they announced a plethora of Star Wars series and even a movie, and that's all really exciting. It remains to be seen whether Kathleen Kennedy has learned from her mistakes, but you gotta think she has to have. Like, you don't mess up to the magnitude that she did and learn nothing from it. So my hope is that she's learned from the mistakes, and that these series and the movie will be good. But I also like the High Republic projects. I know that a lot of people don't, but I don't know that they necessarily actually dislike the High Republic. I think they're making a target of their unhappiness because they believe that Kathleen Kennedy is super involved in it. I think it's solid. I'm glad that they're exploring a different time period. I personally would have rather them explore the Old Republic, but hey, this is better than getting a bunch of insignificant novels that just fill in the gaps between like Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. We've had 1,000 of those, and they don't really give you much story because they can't really develop any important characters, because that's what the movies are for. So I'm glad that we have the High Republic. I know that's probably an unpopular opinion, but I've enjoyed that. And ultimately, all I can say is that if we're gonna have Kathleen Kennedy for years to come, I hope that she learned from the disastrous 6-7 years, the first 6-7 years of Disney owning Lucasfilm, because you don't start a trilogy of Star Wars and not plan for it. You don't do a clean handoff, as Rian Johnson put it, from one director to the other. You need to have some kind of outline for a trilogy. Like, that's how you tell stories. You outline the story first. You may not have all the specific details nailed down, but you need to have like a loose idea and an agreed upon overall vision between the creators. Like, it's fine to have multiple directors. I mean, look, that's what the original trilogy did, but they were all guided by Lucas's vision, and that's what the sequels lacked. And I hope Kathleen Kennedy has realized that, because look, she's an accomplished producer. Like, you can detract from her all you want and complain about her all you want, but she has done some good things in her career. She's done a lot of good things. She's worked on a lot of good movies, but she definitely has to look at these last 7 years as a learning lesson, and hopefully she can improve going forward, because Ultimately, we just want good Star Wars. I don't care if Kathleen Kennedy is the head of Lucasfilm, as long as we're getting good Star Wars. I know that I said she should be let go. I do believe that she should have, because let's face it, you don't make that kind of magnitude of mistake and not pay for it. I think in any industry, if you messed up that badly, you'd probably get let go. But since she's not, we just have to move on. Yes, in Kathleen Kennedy's career as Lucasfilm president, there has been more bad than good. Star Wars was mishandled, like flat out, in many, many areas. But the promising thing is that the good has come more recently, and so I sincerely hope that she and her creative team, Dave Filoni and Favreau, they can all continue to make good Star Wars, because that's all we want in the end. No matter what side, if you're in the fandom menace, or if you just want to enjoy Star Wars, or if you're on the left, or if you're the right, we all just want good Star Wars. I think that's one point that we can all agree on. And if Kathleen Kennedy continues to mess up, then people will continue to call for her job. Maybe people will continue to call for her job regardless. And I hope that she does better. I don't want her to fail, because if she fails, that means Star Wars fails. And I don't want that. So good luck, Kathleen Kennedy. I hope you learned something from the last 7 years. And I hope that these new Star Wars series are going to be good. So that's all I have to say on this matter. I hope that I was able to paint a more complete picture of Kathleen Kennedy's tenure as president of Lucasfilm. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you still want her to be fired, or are you willing to give her a chance? It doesn't look like you're really gonna have a choice, because Disney's already made their decision. But let me know what you think. I always enjoyed reading your guys' opinions. I'm Zach. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel for all things Star Wars, and I'll see you in the future.